Talk loudly.
I'll just take notes.
All right, and we have who we need here.
Yeah.
We're gonna dive right in and get as much as we can covered in about 12 minutes.
Gene, you want to
We
introduce
can
your
do
new
it.
staff member?
Sorry, this is Logan Hubble. I think many of you already met him, planner in the planning department. Logan has been the driving force behind this, as well as Anna Star, which she's coming as well.
So, I'm Logan, and I know all of you have seen presentations about the Center City Form-Based Code, so I won't go into too much detail about what's currently adopted. I'll really try to focus on the changes that we're proposing here. So, and I'll go into more detail about these on the following slides, but here's an overview of the major changes that we've made. So, the townhouse / small apartment and neighborhood middle frontages will become urban residential frontage. The urban residential frontage has been more fleshed out. There's a new maximum height and a new unit minimum map. We have new unit minimums in the urban general frontage. We've removed the unit maximum in the former pink neighborhood middle frontage, and we have new parking requirements. So on the left, you'll see the currently adopted regulating plan, and on the right is the regulating plan in the draft document. The yellow area in both maps is detached frontage, which protects the single-family neighborhood, and we've kept almost entirely unchanged. The orange area is urban general frontage. Structures there can be between 2 and 5 stories tall. They'll be built close to the front property line and on each side property line. The ground floor can be either residential or commercial, and each structure must contain at least 3 residential units. The red area in both maps is urban storefront frontage. Structures here are built to the urban general building form standards that I just mentioned, but commercial is required on the ground floor. The small orange area to the southwest in the original map along University Boulevard, this area right here, it looks like it's the same as the urban general, but it's actually, the map showed up bad, so that's actually urban residential. Structures here are built to the same urban general building form standards, but residential is required on the ground floor. The blue area on the left map is townhouse / small apartment frontage. Structures here can be between 2 and 3 stories tall, must have a finished floor elevation of at least 36 inches, so that's basically the foundation up, and are built from property line to property line. Each structure must contain at least 3 residential units. And then finally, the pink area on the left map is neighborhood middle frontage. Structures there can be 1 or 2 stories tall with a maximum of 2 residential units. Structures have a 5-foot side yard setback in that area. So, as part of our efforts to make the document easier to use and to administer, we took a look at these various frontage types. The product being built in that blue urban townhouse / small apartment area is almost identical to the product being built in the orange urban general area. And meanwhile, the pink neighborhood middle area requires a much lower level of density, than the rest of the center city area, with the exception of the detached. And that's despite the fact that it is the area that is closest to campus. So the proposal put forth by the planning department and the ad hoc committee involves combining the existing blue and pink areas into the what is currently the existing urban residential frontage type. So, and that was the type that is, essentially uses the urban general building form standards, but only requires residential on the ground floor. So the purplish color that you can see on the map on the right, which we call it periwinkle, represents this new urban residential frontage. So putting in this new frontage type would allow staff to focus on fewer individual frontages. We'd have to deal with the updating of fewer of them. And it increases density near campus where housing is needed the most. So, urban residential, like I said, follows the urban general building form standards. but it only allows for residential units. However, we also made some changes to it, because in the currently adopted document, it is, it's a little tiny box that doesn't do much. But so we added stuff to really flesh it out. And so we wanted to carry over some of the changes, or some of the best things that are in the townhouse slash small apartment and the neighborhood middle frontages. So we made the finished floor elevation there 14 inches. There's no finished floor elevation in the urban general frontage, and there's a 36-inch finished floor elevation in the existing blue slash townhouse frontage. 14 inches would provide some separation from the street space, but would not require the construction of a 36-foot wheelchair ramp for accessible units, like it's required in a place with a 36-inch minimum finished floor elevation. We also are going to want to allow courtyards. So courtyards had previously been allowed in the pink neighborhood middle frontage area, but nowhere else in the center city area, actually. And we thought that was a nice feature. So this is the new maximum height map that we added. So it shows the maximum allowed number of stories on each block, or each portion of each block. We added this map primarily to make it easier for developers who are new to the center city area to understand the code. All the yellow, orange, and red heights remain the same as in the currently adopted code. In the Periwinkle urban residential area north of Duffy, some heights were increased to 5 stories from a previous maximum of 3 stories, but we kept the gradual stair step down to the single family neighborhood, the detached frontage. In the Periwinkle area south of Duffy...
Councilmember Holman?
Just to be clear too, Main Street is still unlimited height.
Yes. Okay, so to mention, anything that was zoned C3 prior to the original 2017 Center City Form-Based Code on Main Street remains, they can build however tall they want. So in the Periwinkle area south of Duffy, between Campus Corner and the railroad tracks, the maximum height was changed to 5 stories to allow for the increased density that I think we'd like to see in that area closest to campus. And all frontage types still allow for developers to build as few as 2 stories if they want. So the minimums have not changed at all. This is the new unit minimum map. It looks very similar to the maximum height map, but it actually shows the minimum number of residential units that must be built on each parcel. So we kept this the same in pretty much all areas aside from the orange urban general. The urban general unit minimum was changed to 1 less than the maximum building height that you saw on the last map. So in areas with a maximum building height of 5 stories, a developer must build at least 4 residential units. Urban general and urban storefront structures can count a commercial unit toward the residential unit minimum. So, if you a place with a requirement of 4 units, if you built a commercial unit, you would only have to actually build 3 residential units. South of Duffy in the urban residential, any number of units can be built, and so that's a change because there was a maximum of 2 units. You could only build a duplex down there. Now you can build as many units as you want. And the final of the major changes we made is the reworked parking requirements. So currently parking requirements are based on the size of residential units, like the square footage, which has resulted in a lack of parking in the center city area. And so we now would like to require for 3 or more bedrooms, 1 parking space per bedroom. So essentially, every bed has to be accounted for. And then because we want to offer incentives for developers to build more units in buildings with fewer bedrooms per unit, we're proposing a half parking space per bedroom for units with 2 or 1 bedroom or studio units.
All right, I'm going to give you about 3 more minutes. If you find a natural stopping
Oh,
point.
I'm almost done.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So some other changes, I'll read these, but I can go into more detail if we have time or if I need to. So in the detached frontage, the yellow, we changed it so that an ancillary structure can be as tall as the primary structure. That's our current regulation in R1. For some reason, the maximum height was 18 in the CCFBC. All exterior walls must now meet fenestration requirements as building code allows. So We were getting a lot of walls or a lot of buildings with like blank back walls, and so we just would like to, see this four-sided architecture. We clarified the non-conforming structures and uses. Legal could talk about that better than me, but I think it was something that was definitely needed because there was a lot of confusion regarding that. We added or amended 37 definitions, and that's to try to really detach this from the zoning ordinance, so we didn't have to go back and forth referencing both. We made the use section categorical, again with no references to the zoning code. Parking lot design is now up to the discretion of the developer, and this is because we put in those increased parking requirements. We wanted the developers to be able to really do more with the lot. We didn't want to hamstring them so much. Storage tanks have to be screened on at least two sides. We've had some issues with storage tanks, massive storage tanks that are like very clearly visible from the street space, and so now they have to be screened. Hopefully, what we're hoping here is recessed into the building a little bit. Or at the very least, a fence partially put around them just so they're not quite as visible. And then finally, sidewalk removals have to have plans for immediate replacement, and that's that was something put in place by Public Works.
If we wanted the storage tanks to be closer and inset, why didn't we just say that?
That was something that was hard to put into words, hard to put into a code. And this was, and we thought about it quite a bit. This is something that was discussed a lot, and this was really the best thing we could think to do.
Councilmember Hall.
I just wanted to take a minute or two to thank Mr. Hubble and Ms. Starr in particular, but all of the planning staff who is intimately involved in every part of this process. I also wanted to make sure that my colleagues knew that this is the second ad hoc committee that's met since the form-based code was adopted in 2017. It's a document that's intended to be reviewed from time to time and amended from time to time. So in 2019, we were able to address a lot of the issues that were coming up and came forward, I feel like, with a really positive improvements to the code. And this is exactly what was intended with the administrative delay this time, to take a look at, some of the other things that continue to hinder us in continuing to have that forward progress that we're looking for and meeting the vision of the community. So all in all, I absolutely want to make sure that we're addressing any questions that you have. So if we do have to come back after, I'm all about doing that, because this is really your opportunity to ask questions before the formal process starts. Councilmember Holman and Councilmember Peacock were also members of the ad hoc committee. Councilmember Holman has been a participant in every official stage of adopting form-based code, so once again serves that very important role of context and institutional history about where we started and where we're ending up this time. We also had Mr. Adair as present. He was also part of the process from the very beginning and has participated in both ad hoc committees. So I feel like we've had a really good mix of people representing all of the interests, and ultimately what the goal was and the resolution that we passed was to simplify the code, to make it easier for the staff to interpret when working with developers, to make it an easier process to go forward for those who are choosing to develop, and also continuing to try to get a mix of inventory of housing within form-based code. Currently, we continue to build a single housing type, and we're hoping that with some of the things that we're willing to put forward this time for consideration, that we are addressing all of that and allowing for creativity, other types of housing, really encouraging people to have more units with less bedrooms instead of less units with more bedrooms. We have a very robust inventory of the latter and not much of the former. So from my perspective, the work that was done on behalf of the staff in the last couple of years to get us to the place to consider having an administrative delay in an ad hoc committee, they have been, I just can't say enough about all of the work and the hours that they put in to try to address the continuing inconsistencies with the code. It's probably going to need to be revisited again in another couple years, but between our legal staff and our planning staff, I think they have really guided us through a process that has addressed some of these very technical fixes that need to be made. So I just want to say thank you for all of that, and totally available to all of you to answer any questions, because if you're not familiar with form-based code, this is all kind of a lot of gobbledygook.
Before we adjourn.
Yeah.
I will say thank you to Councilmembers Hall, Holman, and Peacock. You know, I'm a lot more comfortable moving forward knowing that we had a third of the council with eyes and involvement on the process. Thank you to staff. This meeting is adjourned. Please head to the chambers. Good evening, and welcome to the City Council, Norman Utilities Authority, Norman Municipal Authority, and Norman Tax Increment Finance Authority meeting of May 10th, 2022. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Studley is absent. Councilmember Schuler? Here. Councilmember Lynn?
Here.
Councilmember Hall?
Here.
Councilmember Tortorello? Here. Councilmember Foreman is absent. Councilmember Holman? Councilmember Holman? Here. Councilmember Peacock?
Here.
Mayor Clark?
Here. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Item 1 is approval of the minutes, consideration of the City Council Conference minutes of August 24th, 2021, City Council Study Session minutes of January 4th, 2022, and the City Council Norman Utilities Authority, Norman Municipal Authority, and Norman Tax Increment Finance Authority minutes of March 22nd, 2022. I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is to approve the minutes. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been cast, and the motion to approve the minutes passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 2 is recognition of the 2021-2022 Norman Youth Council. I'd like to recognize Jeannie Schneider, Assistant City Attorney, to make a few comments and introduce the Youth Council.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. This is one time when, if you do a presentation to council, it's really a good fun time. Annually, except for the last 2 years because of COVID, we've not been able to have youth council. We advertise for applications in July, August for students in Norman, Norman High, Norman North, homeschooled kids, or if you live in Norman and go to another school outside of the city limits, that's fine too. Sophomore, juniors, and seniors interested in learning about local government. We get nominations, they have rec letters, and they have to get them turned in. And we meet September through May of every year. May is this meeting where we're going to present them to council. We do not meet in March because of spring break. It's an hour once a month from 4:30 to 5:30. They're all always prompt. These are just great kids. I really enjoy being around them. I did not have the, I know I didn't have the grades nor perhaps the ambition these young students have right now. They're very impressive. So this year we didn't have as large a class. We did have 11 students that were here. I believe we had 1 sophomore, 7 juniors, and 3 seniors. We did have a few more from Norman High. We had 8 from High and 3 from Norman North, so maybe I need to do a little more recruiting in the Norman North. My kids were Timberwolves, so maybe I need to work on that. What we do is we go to most of each department each month, the fire department, the police, animal shelter, and the kids, the staff takes the time to either give tours or tell the students about what that department does in the city, and just gives them just a little better idea of what their local government does. They learned about Norman Forward, that every time they spend tax money, it's going to Reeves Park or the new Trey Young Center, and so I think they find it pretty interesting. I'd like to take credit for all of it. Actually, our legal assistant, Deidre, really does all the hard work. She does all the planning and takes all the pictures. I think I was responsible for one night, and I got 2 pictures. So I kind of fell down on the job. But I've asked a few of the kids to come up, and I just asked them literally 30 minutes ago to do this, to just tell us about the month or the department they went to and what they learned or anything interesting in it. I'm hoping that it's up here. I went backwards. This is the list of the students that have participated. We do have a Norman employee student, and we have 2 Norman employees, kids that have participated, and then we have a former council member's grandchild that has participated. So I always like to see that. This is the schedule, and this is the topics that we covered. The police department did the crime statistics. That was pretty interesting. Jason from the PD came over and gave us all kinds of statistics. All students love to go to fire station number 9 out on the east side because it's kind of a neat place, and they get to see where the firemen live. Lieutenant Bryant did a great presentation in December on homelessness. In fact, on their application, there was a question about what do you want to hear about, and homelessness and the community was at the top of most of their list. James Briggs, can't go wrong when he's doing a presentation. He did the Norman Forward, went through all that, and we went to municipal court, and Judge Nichols was there, and they got to see a video arraignment and talk to Judge Nichols about that. And then you can't help but love going out to the Norman Animal Welfare Center. Harrison wanted to take home a puppy, but he did not, but Kelly Robertson gave a great tour for that. So I'm going to ask Destiny Hopkins to come up and tell us about the orientation that we did with the mayor. I'm going to have each student that comes on up tell their name, where they're at in school, and their future. We do not have enough time to listen to Destiny's future and everything she's doing. So I'm going to let her do that. And then the kids that don't make a presentation, when they get their certificate, I'll have them tell the same information. So Destiny, if you'll tell us a little about our meeting with the mayor. Yeah, just stand right there and you kind of, that'll give you an idea.
Yes, so my name is Destiny Hopkins, and I am currently going to Norman High School, and I'm going to OU in the fall for journalism and nonprofit management. I got the amazing opportunity to talk to Mayor Clark and just get to hear a lot about her story, how she got here, and we really got to learn some wisdom about how we can continue to contribute and how important it is to learn about local government.
Thank you. And Destiny, where are you going to school? What's up with that after you graduate?
Yes, so I'm going to OU for journalism and nonprofit management. Oh, and I currently work at Cleveland County Habitat for Humanity.
I believe a full scholarship to OU?
Yes, I do have a full scholarship to OU currently.
And she was a little late tonight because she was getting an award somewhere else. Crime statistics, Aspen. Aspen's dad is also a City of Norman employee, and she's going to talk a little bit about, why do I want to go right on this instead of left? When the police department told us about some crime statistics.
Hi, my name is Aspen Osgood. I'm a junior at Norman High School. My future plans are to go to college and major in psychology. At the crime session, we learned about different crime statistics in Norman and the different technologies that cops use. What I found most interesting was that there's only about 11 cops patrolling during different hours of the day.
Thank you, Aspen. I forget. Too many notes up here. Okay, Irie Rogers. She's going to talk to us about the fire station. Of course, that's always fun to go to. They get to see where the firemen live and eat and work out, and so they all usually really enjoy this. And we've got more pictures than for the fire department than any, and I'll just click through them while you're talking. Okay. So introduce yourself and tell them what your plans are. Okay.
My name's Irie Rogers. I'm a sophomore at Norman High, and after that, I plan to go to college and major in business. I don't really know specifically what, just to get a start, because I'm not real sure. But
I'll just click through these while you're talking.
okay, yeah. The fire station was just really fun. I got to try on the uniform, and it's really heavy, and I'm a really small person, so it kind of just drowned me.
Okay, sorry. The lawyer up here can't work the darn thing. Why am I going backwards now, kids? Is it the right side?
Do we need a Gen Zer to come work it?
Or it's not working? Okay, sorry, kids. That's kind of embarrassing, but that's how it works. Okay, here's some more.
The next one is
Yeah, the next one, she's going to see what she has. That is her, the little small one, putting on, how much was the weight on you?
75 pounds.
And it swallowed her.
Yeah.
As I remember, that day was windy because we didn't get to go up into the big thing that goes up in the
it's like a
air.
little tower ladder thing.
It was too windy that day, but the firemen are always very gracious. What was your favorite part?
I liked seeing where they live because I just didn't think about that, them actually living there and being there for days on end, because there's fires at night and I go home at night and they're there. So I think that's pretty cool.
Right. Thank you. Okay, Jackson Horn. I think there's only one slide, so I really, the margin of error for me is pretty low.
Hi there, y'all. My name is Jackson Horn. I'm a senior at Norman High, and I intend to go to Dallas Baptist University and end up being a traveling nurse. That's the overall goal. So in our December meeting, we talked about the homelessness, and I didn't realize how many homeless people we have in Norman, and I think that speaks to the job that we're doing here, that we are providing homes and food and shelter to these homeless people. And it's very interesting to me because when it gets below freezing, we give them more housing. And I just overall, I think we're doing a great job with our homeless community.
Thank you, Jackson. Amy Ringer, she's going to talk about Norman Forward.
Hi, I'm Amy Ringer. I'm a senior at Norman North, and I plan on going to OU. Haven't gotten any further than that, but we got to learn about where our tax money goes and see all the new buildings that are coming, and yeah, we went into depth about the Trae Young building, so that was fun.
As I said, James Briggs led a great meeting on that. He's always fun. Okay, William Nichols. He is Judge Nichols' son.
Hi, I'm Will Nichols.
Oh, I got to get a picture of your picture all over here. There you go.
I'm a senior at North right now, and my dad is a judge at the court, so I'm familiar with the process there, but I've always found there's a little monitor screen on the desk, and you can connect to the criminals at the county court and give them their sentencing and all that stuff, so I thought that was pretty cool.
That's the video arraignments that we do video arraignments every day for our prisoners, so. And that's why all the kids are standing behind Judge Nichols. It's just a tiny little screen that they were watching a live video arraignment of prisoners.
Mr. Nichols, what are your plans
Yeah,
after
what are your
graduation?
plans?
Oh, probably go to OBU and major in biology.
Okay.
Okay, Harrison, he's in, I think he had a little soccer injury. He's getting off the crutches, he says, in a few days. And as I said before, I don't mean to embarrass him, but this is Dan Quinn's grandson. So he sat right over there, and so he's going to talk to us about the animal shelter. And tell who you are and all that business.
Hi, I'm Harrison Powers. I'm a junior at Norman High School. My future plans are to be a pilot in the Air Force, but it's a lot of steps to get there, so that's tentative right now. But a few things I wrote down about the Animal Welfare Center. One, I did almost bring home a puppy. I wouldn't have been able to get very far, though, on these things. But something I learned that there were a bunch of unique animals, such as rabbits and hamsters, and we learned that the day after we had visited, there were 160 chickens that had been brought in. And so I thought it was just really cool to know that they host more than cats and dogs. But that's all I noticed. Thank you.
Well, it was 100 chickens and a variety of other animals that came in. Okay, we're going to go ahead and give the certificates, and there are about 4 of you that didn't get to say your name and where you're going to school, so when I hand you your certificate, I want you to come over here and say that. You don't get out of that part. And the mayor's going to come down and do that with us. Okay, Jackson Baden. So Jackson, you're one that needs to go and introduce yourself and say where you're at.
I'm Jackson Baden. I'm a junior at Norman High, and I hope to go and get into medicine somewhere. I don't know yet. So.
We got to get a picture. Go out here. And we'll send you your pictures. Thank you. Noah Bowie.
Well, I'm Noah Bowie, and I'm a junior at Norman High, too. And I probably plan to be a surgeon. I don't know where to go yet, but yeah.
Daniel Dobson. Introduction.
Hi, I'm Daniel Dobson. I'm a junior at Norman North, and I plan to go to Oklahoma State and major in sports media.
Hey, my name is Jackson Voto. I'm a junior at Norman High, and I plan to attend the University of Oklahoma.
Thank you, parents, for coming. You don't have to stay for the council meeting if you don't want. Shouldn't they see a council meeting? Yeah.
They're like, shut up, Mayor. All right, we've got several proclamations. Wow. So, several proclamations. Our first is a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming Saturday, May 21st, 2022, as Kids to Parks Day in the city of Norman. I need a motion to adopt or reject the resolution.
Second.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is to adopt the resolution. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been cast, and the motion to approve the proclamation passes unanimously.
Thank you. A proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming Saturday, May 21st, 2022, as Kids to Parks Day in the city of Norman. Whereas May 21st, 2022 is the Kids to Parks Day, organized and launched by the National Park Trust, held annually on the third Saturday in May. And whereas Kids to Park Days empowers kids and encourages families to get outdoors and visit Norman's parks, public lands, and waters. And whereas we should encourage our children to lead a more active lifestyle to combat issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and hypercholesterolemia. And whereas Kids to Park Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and outdoors. And whereas Kids to Park Day will recognize the importance of recreating responsibly while enjoying the benefits of the outdoors. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim Saturday, May 21st, 2022 as Kids to Park Day in the City of Norman. I'd like to recognize Riley Hawley and Adeline Christopher from Monroe Elementary School to accept the proclamation. Did I see you guys this morning?
We sure did. Yeah.
Okay, in Miss Warren's class.
Yes.
Well, good to see you again. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Adeline Christopher.
And I'm Riley Hawley. We are here to talk about the playground and why it is important to us. The playground is important to us because it gives us a place to play and take a break during school. Another way the playground is important to our community is it helps families bond and spend time together.
We work together to make sure the park stays clean and safe to play.
That is what we do at the Green and Clean team. We created the Green and Clean team because we want a clean park that students and families can have a great time playing and making memories.
We make sure the park stays clean and the earth stays green.
And before we move on to our next proclamation, I want to point out that we are having a Kids to Park Day recognizing the best voted favorite park in Norman, which happened to be at Monroe Elementary. It is, let's clap for that. That is Saturday, May 21st from 1 to 3 p.m. There'll be lots of fun stuff going on, so I hope you will join the Monroe family as we celebrate Kids to Park Days in Norman, Oklahoma. Thank you again. Item 4, a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the month of May 2022 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the city of Norman, Oklahoma. I need a motion to adopt or reject the resolution.
Motion to approve.
The motion on the floor is to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation. Council members, you may cast your votes.
I'll vote. Motion to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation passes unanimously.
Thank you. A proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the month of May 2022 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Month in the city of Norman. Whereas since its origin in 1979 as Asian Pacific American Heritage Week, we commemorate the accomplishments and contributions of Pacific Islander residents. And whereas over 30 years ago, in 1990, Congress amended the observation from a week to a month, which designated May 1990 as the first Asian Pacific Islander month. And whereas the recognition of the month of May recognizes the significance of history and advancements influenced by Asian American and Pacific Islanders, such as May 7th, 1843, which is the date on which the first Japanese immigrants arrived in the United States, and the completion of the first transcontinental railroad completed by direct contributions of the Chinese pioneers. And whereas the city of Norman celebrates the contributions of the Asian American and Pacific Islander community in Norman, which create a rich and diverse community. And whereas where Asian alone descendants constitute 5% of our Norman community. And whereas by building relationships and encouraging engagement, we have increased mutual participation with the Asian American and Pacific Islander community in Norman and are committed to continue to do more. And whereas we are grateful for organizations supporting community representation, such as Asian American Student Association and Asian Pacific American Law Students Association at the University of Oklahoma, Asian Club at Norman High School, Oklahoma Chinese Association, Share to Grow, and many other organizations. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the City of Norman, and invite all citizens to join me in celebrating across our community. I'd now like to recognize Cody Thack, our Coordinator of Asian American Programs and Services at the University of Oklahoma in the Office of Student Life, to accept the proclamation.
Hi all, thank you so much. So on behalf of Asian American Programs and Services and the Office of Student Life in the Division of Student Affairs at the University of Oklahoma, it is an immense honor to accept this proclamation. I express my sincerest thanks for your official observation of this important time and for uplifting our community here in Norman. As a resident of Norman since last year, I am indebted to the AAPI folks who call the city their home and to those who have laid the foundations of what being AAPI means here now. Alongside the community members with whom I have advocated through OU and beyond, sharing our narratives for the broader Norman community is a privilege. It is a celebration of our joy and yearning, of hardships and trials, of reciprocal efforts through which everyone has advanced across our differences and similarities. As we celebrate AAPI Heritage Month, I intentionally underscore the value and diversity of our community. Asian, over 40 countries and over 2,000 languages, from East, Southeast, South, Central, West, and North Asia, and more. Pacific Islander, thousands of islands and indigenous peoples from Polynesia, Melanesia, and Micronesia. And American, with varying citizenship statuses, generational statuses, and immigration and refugee experiences all within our own country and city. Recognizing that we have a diversity of not only heritages to regard, but histories in the United States to make sense of, is a step forward benefiting all of us in this room here presently. Histories as part of the past, as honoring the lives and contributions of those we remember as the reason this Heritage Month is held in May, to current experiences of those here today and tomorrow who enrich the fabric of Norman and Oklahoma. I posit that these conversations, carried with education, care, respect, and genuine acceptance, and that this proclamation stand as essential components in the solution to combating anti-Asian racism and cultivating places of mutual and cross-racial support where all can thrive. We can learn together, we can listen together, and we can share together. And we have done so, and I look forward to continue doing so. Because united, we can choose to recognize our heroes and holidays while denouncing prejudices. United, we can choose to build a more informed society with generations of support for everyone who calls Norman home. And united, we can choose to celebrate AAPI Heritage Month all together. With that, happy AAPI Heritage Month. Let us love each other and support each other now during this month, and continually so long as we share and enhance the city together alongside one another, as a city where we all not only belong, but most importantly, feel valued enough to flourish. Thank you for your time and for celebrating us.
Item 5, a proclamation of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the month of May 2022 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the City of Norman, Oklahoma. I need a motion to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation.
Second.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been cast, and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. A proclamation of the Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the month of May 2022 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the City of Norman. Whereas in the year 1654, more than 300 years ago, the first Jewish refugees arrived on American soil, fleeing oppression and discrimination. And whereas we acknowledge anti-Semitism as a real issue facing our Jewish American neighbors and remember the lessons of the Holocaust. Whereas today we honor the centuries of generations of Jewish Americans who have shaped our country and community by representing justice, equity, and freedom. And whereas throughout history, Jewish Americans have served our nation in uniform, made great contributions to America's cultural, scientific, artistic, and intellectual life, contributing to the fabric of American history, culture, and society. And whereas the City of Norman continues to strive to continue building an inclusive community, and we urge our community to learn more about its Jewish neighbors through research, visits, podcasts, reading, or connecting with the University of Oklahoma's Schusterman Center for Judaic and Israel Studies. And whereas we honor the history, courage, and culture the Jewish community offers. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the City of Norman and invite all citizens to join me in celebrating across our community. I would now like to recognize Dr. Alan Levinson, Schusterman Josie Chair of the Jewish History Director, Schusterman Center for Judaic and Israel Studies, the University of Oklahoma Department of History, to accept the proclamation.
Thank you very much. I had no idea that all the votes of the Norman City Council were unanimous. This is a wonderful thing to discover. I'm very grateful to Mayor Clark for her efforts on behalf of working toward a diverse and inclusive Norman, and I trust Mayor-elect Heikola will continue them. I didn't realize the proclamation would talk about the appearance of American Jewish history in 1654, which was indeed initiated when Jews were fleeing the Inquisition in Recife off the coast of Brazil, and landed in New Amsterdam, which later became New York. President George W. Bush signed the National Proclamation of Jewish Heritage Month, and in so doing, he recognized the contributions of Jews to American science and arts in particular. This emphasis seems very appropriate to Norman, because even though Jews have been in Oklahoma since before statehood, in Norman, Jewish life has been most associated with the University of Oklahoma. I often reflect on the fact that after the Second World War, Norman had a sizable Jewish community, thanks mainly to the GI Bill and the opportunities the university and industry here provided. Nowadays, OU has a healthy Jewish studies program whose classes are populated almost entirely by non-Jews, including many devout Christians. Either way is good. The sincere welcome extended to the Jewish community after the Second World War and the sincere interest in Jewish heritage even today have been a constant, and tonight's ceremony is a good witness to that. So I'm very honored to receive this proclamation on behalf of the Norman Jewish community and its many allies. Thank you.
Item 6, a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming Sunday, May 15th, 2022 as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 15th through May 21st, 2022 as National Police Week in the city of Norman. I need a motion to accept the proclamation.
Second.
The motion on the floor is to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been cast, and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming Sunday, May 15th, 2022 as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 15th through May 21st, 2022 as National Police Week in the city of Norman. Whereas the Norman Police Department has designated May 15th as Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 15th through 21st, 2022 as National Police Week. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas members of the Fraternal Order of Police Auxiliary invite residents to participate in Project Blue Light by placing a blue light in front of their homes or place of business during National Police Week in remembrance of those law enforcement officers who gave their lives in the line of duty and for the officers who continue to keep our neighborhoods and communities safe. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim Sunday, May 15th, 2022 as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 15th through May 21st, 2022 as National Police Week in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of fallen heroes. I also hereby invite all citizens to attend the Norman Law Enforcement Memorial Service on Sunday, May 15th at 4 p.m. at the Legacy Park Amphitheater located at 1898 Legacy Park Drive. I would now like to recognize Chief Foster to accept the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for the recognition of the sacrifices officers make every day. The preliminary data compiled by the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial shows that 458 officers died in the line of duty in 2021. Of those, 84 officers died of felonious assaults, 19 of which were ambush-style attacks. It is imperative that we continue to work together to make this job as safe as possible by providing the proper tools for those that choose it as a profession. Again, I thank you for the proclamation and the recognition. We look forward to seeing everyone at the memorial service on Sunday, this Sunday, May 15th at 4 at Legacy Park. Thank you all.
Item 7, a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the week of May 1st through May 7th, 2022 as International Composting Awareness Week in the city of Norman. I need a motion to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation.
Second.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been cast, and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. A proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the week of May 1st through May 7th, 2022 as International Compost Awareness Week in the city of Norman. Whereas the Composting Council Research and Education Foundation, along with Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, and other countries, have declared the first the annual International Compost Awareness Week. And whereas materials such as yard trimmings, vegetable cuttings, biosolids, food scraps, manure, and hay shavings have all been composted and converted in Oklahoma into a beneficial product known as compost. And whereas composting is a way of returning organic resources to the soil and a way to conserve water during extreme drought or flooding conditions, reducing water consumption and non-point pollution, and a proven method of decreasing the dependence on chemical fertilizers and decreasing erosion. And whereas composting is an effective form of waste reduction, reuse, and recycling, since organic materials make up approximately 30% of the materials going to landfills. Composting is becoming one of the primary methods Oklahoma communities can use to reach waste diversion goals. And whereas the city of Norman started its composting program in 1990 using a natural process that does not require starters and additives, and although it takes a few days longer to produce, it provides a high-quality compost at a low cost to residents. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim the week of May 1st through May 7th, 2022 as International Compost Awareness Week in the City of Norman. I would like to recognize Michelle Chow to recognize to accept the proclamation.
Hi, so I am here to accept on behalf of the Oklahoma Compost Sustainability Association, or OCASA, and I just want to say thank you, City Council, Mayor, and City Manager for recognizing the first week of May as International Compost Awareness Week. I know we're a little bit late, but I think we're still good. And I just want to share a few facts about our composting program. So we, on average, accept or divert about 30,000 tons of green waste each year. In fiscal year 2021, we actually diverted almost 90,000 tons, just because of all the winter weather and the storms that we had that year. And this year, fiscal year 2022, we're already up to 40,000 tons of green waste. So numbers are kind of going up, so it's kind of good because we are not only keeping that material out of our landfill, but we're actually turning it into a beneficial product, compost, and also mulch. And as you mentioned in the proclamation, compost is really good for soil health. It increases water retention, it can decrease soil erosion, and it's also good for carbon sequestration. And this product is also free for Norman residents to pick up if they want to use it in their gardens or landscaping or top dressing their lawns. So it's a really good service that the city provides that benefits not only our residents, but also our environment. So again, on behalf of OCASA, thank you.
Item 8, a proclamation of the Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the month of May 2022 as Bike Month and Friday, May 20th, 2022 as Bike to Work Day in the City of Norman. I need a motion to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been cast. Passes unanimously.
Thank you. A proclamation of the Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the month of May 2022 as Bike Month and Friday, May 20th, 2022 as Bike to Work Day in the City of Norman. Whereas today millions of Americans engage in bicycling because it is a viable and environmentally friendly form of transportation, an excellent form of fitness, provides quality recreation, and helps relieve the fiscal strain of high gas prices. And whereas the education of cyclists and motorists as to the proper and safe operation of bicycles is important to ensure the safety and comfort of all users. And whereas the City of Norman continues to update its bicycle plan and bicycle transportation network, including a newly designed bicycle brochure and map, several planned bicycle facilities such as the inclusion of safe bike transportation accommodations on the wide road widening project on 36th Avenue Northwest, and the continued design and construction of multimodal off-street bike paths along State Highway 9, along Flood Avenue from Robinson Street to Tecumseh Road, and along Constitution Street from Jenkins Avenue to Classen Boulevard. And whereas the City of Norman has been designated by the League of American Bicyclists as an official bicycle-friendly community for over 10 years. And whereas the Norman Bicycle Advisory Committee, the Bicycle League of Norman, and independent cyclists throughout our state are promoting greater public awareness of bicycle operation and safety education in an effort to reduce accidents, injuries, and fatalities for all. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as Bike Month and also proclaim Friday, May 20th, 2022 as Bike to Work Day in the City of Norman. and encourage all citizens to recognize the importance of bicycle safety, to be more aware of cyclists on our streets and highways, and invite all to ride their bicycles to Andrews Park that morning as they bike to work for an 8:30 a.m. rally as a show of support for bicycle use for all those reasons named herein. I'd now like to recognize David Riesland, our transportation engineer, to accept the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, I'm David Riesland, your transportation engineer. Normally, the Bicycle Advisory Chair would be here to accept this proclamation, but he was at a conference last week and found out yesterday afternoon that one of the people who attended tested positive for COVID. So he not only did our Bicycle Advisory Committee last night get canceled, but he could not be here tonight either. But the committee does take very seriously the efforts of Bike Month and Bike to Work Week. We work with our partners in Oklahoma City to promote the various activities through the various parts of the metro area. We do have 3 rides for Bike to Work Week, or Bike to Work Day on May 20th. One that starts at Westwood, one that starts at the Griffin Dog Park, and one that starts at the OU Swim Complex. And they all converge on Andrews Park, where we have festivities. James Briggs will be there to give another excellent presentation at that. And we'll talk about some upcoming bike projects. The mayor will be there to give some remarks as well. Look forward to that. Thank you very much.
I'll also give a quick plug, save the date, for Norman Conquest, one of my favorite bicycling rides in Norman, all the way up to like 60-mile routes. We're the 10-mile town tour, which is what you'll find me on. And it's a great fundraiser for the J.D. McCarty Center, and it's organized by the Bicycle League of Norman. Item 9, proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the week of May 9th through May 13th, 2022, as Economic Development Week in the city of Norman. I need a motion to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is to acknowledge receipt of the proclamation. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been cast unanimously.
Thank you. A proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the week of May 9th through May 13th, 2022, as Economic Development Week in the city of Norman. Whereas the International Economic Development Council is the largest professional economic development organization dedicated to serving economic developers. And whereas the International Development Council provides leadership and excellence in economic development for communities, members, and partners through conferences, training courses, advisory services and research, in-depth publications, public policy advocacy, and initiatives such as the Accredited Economic Development Organization Program, the Certified Economic Developer Designation, and the Entrepreneurship Development Professional. And whereas economic developers promote economic well-being and quality of life for their communities by creating, retaining, and expanding jobs that facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And whereas economic developers stimulate and incubate entrepreneurism in order to help establish the next generation of new businesses, which is the hallmark of the American economy. And whereas economic developers are engaged in a wide variety of settings, including rural and urban, local, state, provincial, and federal governments, public-private partnerships, chambers of commerce, universities, and a variety of other institutions. And whereas economic developers attract and retain high-quality jobs, develop vibrant communities, and improve the quality of life in their regions. And whereas economic developers work in the city of Norman within the state of Oklahoma. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim the week of May 9th through May 13th, 2022, as Economic Development Week in the City of Norman, Oklahoma, and remind individuals of the importance of this community celebration, which supports expanding career opportunities and making lives better. I'd like to recognize Lawrence McKinney, Executive Director of the NEDC, to accept the proclamation.
Mayor, Council, City Manager, thank you all for approving this. We've approved the week, but it really should be the year. We've had a great year in economic development. I want to thank the City Council for supporting us. We announced new jobs this past month, and we're in the process, I think about 300
Normanites have been hired, up to about 800 that will be hired. I want to thank the mayor. She's hosted several prospects over the last 2 months, and those visits have gone really well, and I hope we'll have some more announcements soon. We're celebrating this week. We've got a newsletter you'll see this week with a lot of great information in it. I'd like to introduce Crystal Romanishin, who's over here. She's one of Norman's newest residents. She just moved here in the last 2 weeks. She's my new senior vice president at NEDC, and she was the president of the Oconee County, South Carolina Chamber of Commerce. So she's just been here a few weeks, and we're really glad she's here. So this is a big week. It's been a big month. In 2 weeks, we're going to hold our luncheon on May 25th, and I hope you all can come to that. It'll be from 10 to 2. Got a great national speaker that'll be here. So thank you for the proclamation. We really appreciate your support.
I know you would all like to have a few more proclamations, but we have to cap it off at some point. Instead, we'll switch to council announcements. Ward 2, Councilmember Schuler.
Well, Councilmember Studley will be very proud of you. Yes, just had to get that in. So I do have one announcement that came out today that I was really excited to see. The city is putting on a Citizens Academy for the city of Norman, which I'm going to be real honest, would have been really wonderful to do before sitting up here and city council, because I think that they're going to get to do a lot of things that we as council members get to hear about, go around to the different departments, hear from our department heads, hear from our city staff, and learn a lot about the different departments and avenues and things that are happening at the city of Norman, and ask a lot of good questions and be a part of the process. And kind of to piggyback on that, today is actually, well, I guess tomorrow technically, but is my year anniversary on council. So in May 11th of last year was when I was officially sworn in for my appointment. So we're 1 year in, and then in July I will get to be sworn in for my first full term. So I'm glad to have made it a year for Ward 2 residents and looking forward to the next 2 years. So I hope to see lots of Norman residents taking advantage of the opportunity to do the Citizens Academy. It looks like the application is online and it is open until June 20th or until the positions are filled. Is that correct, City Manager?
That is correct.
Yeah, so looking forward to seeing the residents do this. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 3, Councilmember Lynn.
55 days, 23 hours, 5 minutes, 0 seconds.
Thank you. Ward 4, Councilmember Hall.
So I just also was really pleased to see that we're moving forward with the Citizens Academy. I myself got interested in how the city of Norman operated from a neighborhood perspective quite a few years ago, and that led me to become involved in multiple commissions and boards and just kind of showing up to understand how city government works. So I definitely want to encourage everybody who has an interest in learning more about how a city works day in and day out to consider volunteering their time in this way and taking advantage of the opportunity. And I also just want to remind everyone, we spoke about this at our last council meeting, but the applications for the Diversity Roundtable are also still open until May 30th of 2022. And this particular roundtable, the goal is to bring residents together for intentional relationship building with our diverse communities through engagement and education. So this is another way where we can reach deep into our community and get feedback and input and a diversity of thought in a place that is a safe place to move some of your ideas forward. So I encourage anyone who has an interest in this particular topic. You can also apply online There's also a link available through the City of Norman Facebook page. So these are two really great opportunities to get more engaged civically, and it's rewarding when you do. So I'd like to encourage everybody to consider one of these two opportunities. Also just want to remind everybody that the Second Friday Art Walk in historic downtown Norman is this Friday, May 13th. It starts at 6 p.m. and there's so many different things going on this week. It's a full evening of events, but I did want to congratulate the OSC Press for their first anniversary that they will be celebrating during the Art Walk, and also encourage everyone to be made aware of the Virtue Center and their Smash the Stigma campaign that will be kicked off at this Art Walk and also concluded at the Art Walk in June. And they're going to be doing a variety of activities that help people to let go of any stereotypes or shame associated with addiction and or mental health challenges. The Virtue Center has contributed in so many positive ways to our community, and this is just a way to highlight the work that they do. So hope you all can get out on Friday.
Thank you. Ward 5, Councilmember Tortorello.
I want to shout out to Sean O'Leary. You know, in Ward 5, there's a lot of things going on in Ward 5, and the small things matter. So since 2015, we've had 12 accidents at Tecumseh and Northeast 48th Street. And several of my constituents have asked us to put a four-way stop, and David Reisland, you did that study for us, and it seems like we're going to get a four-way stop, and I think everyone appreciates your efforts. I know it's a small thing, but in the big scheme of things, it does matter a lot, and I just wanted to make sure you guys, Sean, you and your team, thank you. Dave, thank you for that, and this is a good thing for Ward 5, so I appreciate all you've done for us, and that's it.
Thank you. Ward 7, Councilmember Holman.
Yes, I want to give a thank you to the organizers of the Norman Music Festival and Norman Pride. Both went off, I think, in an amazing fashion with very little to no problems that I'm aware of. It was wonderful to see so many people come back together downtown in all of our businesses and at Andrews Park this past weekend for Pride. So I just appreciate all the people that work to bring those back. One of the things I mentioned when I was hosting one of the stages at Norman Music Festival was how it had been 3 calendar years, April of 2019, since the last time we had the festival, and that it was remarkable that we were able to get it back. In a lot of communities, they might not have been able to get some of these things back, and so we're very fortunate, and the crowd, at least from my observation, really showed that people around here were ready for it and ready to get back together, and so many people were excited to see people in person that they hadn't seen in a long time. And you could just feel that excitement and pride in the community and things like that. So just want to thank everybody that was involved in bringing those back and keeping them going, and everybody also that attended both of those events as well. I want to remind everybody that school's getting out soon at OU. My neighborhood's going to be a lot quieter after this week, so if you drive down College, the only car parked on the street will probably be my truck. Whereas during the school year, I struggle to find a place to park my car. So exciting time, though, for that and all the graduates. A shout out to my cousin Kaylee, who's graduating from OU, and she already has a job in New York City lined up that she'll be leaving for. So very excited and proud of her for that. I'll also be attending a graduation at North Texas University this Saturday for a relative. So very exciting time for everybody. Also want to encourage everybody as well to attend the Police Memorial Service on Sunday. It's an event that I make a point to attend every year. It lasts less than an hour. It's at Legacy Park. It's a really nice setting, actually. And it gives an opportunity to recognize fallen officers everywhere, but specifically the 3 fallen officers from the Norman Police Department over the years. And their families are there, and you get to meet them and introduce yourself and just give your thanks and appreciation for the sacrifice and the service that they've given our community. So I definitely encourage everybody to attend that. Again, it's a very short ceremony, and it's worth attending. So Also want to mention a project that's going on in Ward 7 that I've had some questions about. There's a resurfacing project on 12th Avenue Southeast, south of Cedar Lane, that's part of the Sage Cobblestone project. That is going to be wrapping up soon, but we also have a voter-approved street maintenance bond project that's going to resurface 12th Avenue Southeast from Cedar Lane south to where it dead ends, coming up at the end of the summer, according to staff. So just want to make sure everybody's aware of that down there in Eagle Cliff and Cedar Lane and Cobblestone Creek, that is going to be coming up, but feel free to send me any questions or comments you have about that as it proceeds. Other than that, though, I just want to thank everybody for attending this evening and everybody watching at home, and encourage everybody to continue participating in local government issues. Thanks.
Thank you. Ward 8, Councilmember Peacock.
Thank you. Yeah, so on Saturday, May 21st, Councilmember Foreman and myself will be hosting a Sutton Wilderness cleanup. So I hope to see a great turnout that day. It'll start at 8 a.m. I believe the city will be providing trash bags and gloves and everything we need to make that place look beautiful again. And it's just happened to be great timing because, as we saw earlier, it's the Kids to Park Day. So there's nothing better than a park than a clean park. So like I said, hope to see everybody out there. Thanks.
All right, also happening on May 21st in connection to the cleaning, it looks like our sustainability officer is doing a Styrofoam collection from 10 a.m. to noon. Do we know where that is? At the transfer station off of Jenkins around that way. So, and in terms of the two opportunities that Councilmember Hall mentioned, I just want to say thank you to our Chief Diversity and Equity Officer, Cynthia Allen, but also our Chief Communications Officer, Tiffany Verska. That lovely community leadership idea we stole straight up from Lawton when we stole her from Lawton. So thank you for bringing that to our community. We do steal the best. I also want to mention this Thursday, there is an After School for All event at Loveworks, Thursday, May 12th from 4 to 6:30 p.m., totally free to attend. And then we have OU graduation this weekend, so not just they're leaving, but there'll be a couple busy days in Norman, looking at Friday and Saturday, so patience in a college town. Summer Breeze returns this Sunday to Lions Park. Sunday, May 15th at 7:30. And then we have the return of the movie series, outdoor movie series, also at Lions Park in Canto at 7 p.m. on... Yes, I had it here and didn't write down the date. Give me 1 second. Then it's the May 27th. We're just going to lean into it. No, it's Friday, May 20th, actually. So glad I checked on that. Friday, May 20th at 7 p.m. at Lions Park, our very first outdoor movie series. That's right. Trust but confirm. There's also, keep an eye out for that schedule. Go to the City of Norman Parks and Recreation page. Not only is there movies in the park, but there's movies in the pool at Westwood Aquatic Center. And some of them are like Raiders of the Lost Ark. So parents, you can tap into your inner childhood as well. All right. No other council announcements. We will move on to the consent docket. This item is placed on the agenda so that the City Council, by unanimous consent, can designate those routine agenda items that they wish to be approved or acknowledged by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with approval of all council members, that item will be heard in regular order. Staff recommends that items 3 through item 21 be placed on the consent docket. Item 10, I need a motion to place items 10 through 21 on the consent docket.
So moved.
Second.
Council members, the motion is to place items 10 through 21 on the consent docket. You may cast your votes.
All votes have to place items 10 through 21 on the consent docket. Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 10, ordinance 2122-41 upon first reading by title, rezoning property located north of 1700 North Porter Avenue from R1 Single Family Dwelling District to SPUD, Simple Plan Unit Development District. Item 12, ordinance 2122-45, upon reading by title, amending the city charter in a variety of ways, which I will encourage you to read in more detail. Item 12, ordinance 2122-46, upon first reading by title, authorizing the calling and holding of a special election on the 23rd day of August 2022 for the purpose of submitting to the registered voters of the city of Norman the proposed charter amendments that everyone will need to review in detail, because there's a lot. Item 13, consideration of submission, acknowledgement, approval, rejection, amendment, and/or rejection of receipt of the city's manager's contracts and change order report and directing the filing thereof. Item 14, Norman Rural Certificate of Survey for ECAD Way Estates with a variance in the private road width located 1/2 mile east of 84th Avenue Northeast on the north side of Tecumseh Road and acceptance of an easement. Item 15, Norman Rural Certificate of Survey for Haley Estates 2 located at the northwest corner of Lindsay Street and 60th Avenue Southeast and acceptance of easements. Item 16, expenditure number 1 under contract 1920-63 with the McKinney Partnership Architects in the amount of $111,475 to provide professional architectural and engineering services for the renovation of real property located at 320 East Comanche Street. Item 17, change order number 2 to the contract with RDNJ LLC doing business as ATEC Paving, decreasing the contract amount by $28,073.69 for a revised amount of $825,812.30 for the Urban Concrete Project FYE 2022 locations, bid 2, final acceptance of the project, and final payment in the amount of $41,256.72. Item 18, bid and contract with EMC Services Incorporated in the amount of $169,619 for the Flood Avenue Sidewalk Construction Project from Gray Street to Dakota Street and associated bonds and project agent resolution. Item 19, acceptance of a grant in the amount of $75,000 from the National Association of City and County Health Officials to support the efforts of the Medical Reserve Corps Volunteer Program for the Fire Department in collaboration with the Cleveland County Health Department, approval of a contract and budget transfer. Item 20, amendment number 1 to the Contwith Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated, increasing the contract amount by $302,134.25 for a revised contract amount of $576,156.56 to provide engineering design services for the Traffic Management Center and budget transfer. Item 21, a resolution supporting the existing Heartland Flyer rail service and the expansion of Amtrak passenger rail service in Oklahoma and Kansas. I need a motion to approve or reject the consent docket.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from council regarding any item on the consent docket? Seeing none, I'll throw in, I definitely want to see the Heartland Flyer go all the way to Newton, Kansas. That's closest one to my hometown of Wichita. I would give anything to just jump on that train to go visit my family. But it'll be great for everyone and great for the region. The motion on the floor is to approve the consent docket. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes. Consent docket was approved unanimously.
Thank you. We have one item off consent. Item 22, a resolution of the City Council, the Norman Municipal Authority, and the Norman Utilities Authority appropriating $5,700,000 from the general fund balance, $100,000 from the Center City Tax Increment Finance District fund balance, $1,922,372 from the Norman Forward Fund balance, transferring $25,000 from the Fire Station 1, 2, and 4 project, reducing appropriations from the Norman Forward Fund balance by $10,290,817, and reducing appropriations from the Water Reclamation Fund balance by $3,300,000 in order to complete several ongoing projects and to move surplus funds from completed projects. I need a motion to adopt or reject the resolution.
Moved.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Lynn, who requested this item to be removed from the consent docket.
I might just have some questions because my main thing was, when I was reading it, was the $1.5 million for the studies. That was after I left. I watched it, study meeting after I had to make an exit on that. I just do not feel like that part is a wise use of taxpayer money. Maybe some of it. I know that we needed certain things. I just don't know the public safety one. And we don't have an exact number on what that would be, I don't think. But it was for several, like stormwater, public safety, and what was the other one?
plan and our transportation plan primarily related to the impacts of
Yes.
OCA?
All those I'm all right with. I mean, okay with, if we put some scopes or like range on public safety. I mean, we're just pulling out $1.5 million. So we're gonna get, for 3 studies, we're gonna get bids. If we divvy that up, they're all gonna come in at $500,000. And right now, there's a request coming through on the budget to put back police positions and some funding. If you just look at the national average, we are way, way, way below by sworn officers on that. It's averages 2.4 per 1,000 citizens. We're way below that. We're not even trying to get to that. That's not even what's being requested. I don't know if we need a study at this time just to even get, we're not even anywhere in the realm of that. You're looking, if you go by the sworn and non-sworn, it's 3.4 per 1,000 citizens. So that'd put us close to 400. They're looking at trying to get back 180 something, right? I don't think we need to pour money into that at this time. If that is not enough to get them back to there, where I'm going to take their word that they say, hey, they need these positions, and you can see it by overtime and people being gone, military, sick, hurt. We need more folks there. I just don't think we need to dish out that money, because if it comes back with a study and says, hey, you need 350 officers, we probably know that that's going to be impossible to do at this moment. But adding back 9 positions and not spending an additional $500,000 to be able to do that, those things just don't add up together right now on those. If they come back and say, hey, we need 250, well, hey, we probably need to look at that. Or we're going back as to the level that we're at, or we're proposed to be at one point. And we're not trying to change the landscape completely where we need to spend so much money for somebody to tell us, hey, here's the national standard where it's been for 70, 80 years since they've been tracking it. It's 2.4 times 100 and almost 30,000 people. That's well, over 250 or whatever. They're not even asking anywhere close to that, so I don't see that is a wise use of money. And I'll take your word on it in the stormwater and everything else, if that's what studies go for. But I just don't see the point of that particular one. So if there's any way to keep this going and just hold off on that one part, it might save $500,000 in taxpayer money. I see that as a wise and prudent move. The rest of them, I don't know if we can separate that out or not.
Thank you. Councilmember Holman.
Thank you. I just give my perspective on those various things. I think with stormwater and traffic, comprehensive plan, those are all updating some of our existing plans like 2025, and it's almost, we're a couple of years out of 2025, so it seems prudent that we need to update that. Traffic, our master plan for traffic planning isn't very old, 2014-15, but some things have changed. Some things may be changing that are beyond our control. We don't know. So taking a look and maybe updating that seemed like a prudent idea. Stormwater was 2009, and a lot of the data, there is data that's used in the Stormwater Master Plan from 2009 that is 1990s information, some of which is 20, 25 years old. So it seemed like it might be a good time to update those things. And then public safety, we've had a few residents speak out or suggest that we look into that. Councilmember Foreman. From my perspective, it's I think the personnel is a piece of it. But one of the discussions we've been having is, should we spend $3 million, $4 million to remodel the police department? Or should we look into building a new police department? Do we need a substation on the east side maybe, or somewhere else? Are there improvements we could make to the police department in the midterm to get them through until we build a new one, if that's what is decided or the direction it needs to go? But not just police, but fire and just all emergency personnel, public safety personnel in the city of Norman. I kind of viewed it as a public safety, just assessment of what we have in Norman, our 200 square miles. To me, that would include the workforce at OUPD, county sheriff, state police, whatever public safety presence is in the city of Norman, and then the facilities part of it. So I kind of viewed it as a way that we might, I agree with the concern too about setting a budget out, and then we put it out and people say, well, you budgeted for 500, that's how much it costs. So I do understand that concern. I have that same concern as well, and it would be nice to know a little bit more about what that specific public safety study might cost. But it does seem like, at least from my perspective, it could be a way to help us save money in the long run as we plan for personnel, but also for facilities. Fire station number 10, fire station number 11 and 12, potentially. Is relocating fire station number 5 still the best thing to do? Is where we want to relocate it to going to be available? Is the turnpike going to run through where we were planning to do it? So those are questions I have that seem like to me that a public safety assessment study, if you want to call it that, could help identify and maybe help us not spend money on things that we might not need or might not be helpful to us. So that's kind of my perspective on the public safety study part of that and why I've been interested in going forward, but I do share the same concern about setting a budget and then them coming back to us saying, yeah, well, that's
Our goal, Councilmember, is to, upon budget adoption, set out on the creation of requests for proposals from consultants to work on all of those studies that have all been, probably sped up a little bit in terms of their need based on the Turnpike Authority's plan and how that may impact the city. We've got general ideas on what we think the comprehensive plan update would cost, and it was stated during the conversation that maybe $150,000 for the public safety study. Of course, the details in that request for proposal, what are we requesting they review on our behalf, including staffing levels and where to position staff to respond to emergencies on both sides of the turnpike, and where is the best location for a new police building? Is it where it's at, or is there a better place geographically based on call volume or whatever other magic winds up in the formula? So. That's why we thought about, do we try to put a dollar amount out there for each study, not really having an idea where those proposals will come back, or just recognize we have a budget allocation, we'll be bringing you RFPs and seeking your authorization to release those RFPs to the various consulting groups. We're happy to proceed in any way you see most prudent, but as those proposals come back in, we'd have different departments working on them, so we think we could have multiple proposals out in the field at any given time. So just looking for a way to move as expeditiously as possible.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Hall.
I was present for the entire meeting, and all of these proposals that are outlined in this particular agenda item were reached by consensus by the council present at the meeting. I don't really have much more to add to what Councilmember Holman said. I also would like to make a comment that most of these things will be coming back to council in the form of an RFP. And the entire 3 years that I've served on the city council, I have a lot of confidence in the RFP process and how we vet and try to bring forward the best and most qualified people to do the studies that we're interested in finding out more information about. So I am comfortable with all of the recommendations contained in this agenda item and intend to support them.
Thank you. Councilmember Lynn.
No, I mean, my main thing was that I would just like a little bit of scope to it. Like if what Councilmember Holman's saying, because the way I saw it, the way I heard it was like, hey, how many police officers do we need? Let's do a study. Now, if I missed something that was like, hey, we need to see all these other things too, that can be valid, and I have no problem with that, but it just seems wide open right now, and I mean, it seemed like the whole purpose was like, how many do we need? Let's get a study to see how many police officers do we need. I don't think we're ready for that. If there's other things, but I see no scope on it right now. It's just saying, hey, let's throw some money out there and then we'll figure it out. Maybe that's the normal process of things. I don't know. But I'm just not real comfortable with it at the way it sits right now. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Schuler.
Yeah, so I was also present for the full study session, and my recollection of that meeting was basically just what Councilmember Holman laid out in terms of our discussion specifically around the public safety study was, long, really encompassing of lots of different pieces of public safety and really kind of a broad range of topics and items. It wasn't focused solely on the personnel discussion. And so I think for that reason, supportive of looking into that. I think one of the other things that is important to note is kind of what Councilmember Hall was talking about with our RFP process, that when we appropriate money in kind of a lump sum, this is the process. We are not writing scope into our appropriation as I understand it. And I'm seeing our finance director, Mr. Francisco, nodding to that. And so what we're really doing here is appropriating the money to do this, and then the RFP process, which will be the scoping of what we do and provide an idea of, what exactly we're looking for when we are asking for the study to be conducted, and then who is ultimately selected to do those studies, is vetted through a very specific process that we go through. We're not at that point yet, and so we need to appropriate the budget for that. And to the point about, not putting a specific dollar amount on each study, and I remember the city manager talking about this in the study session, that we don't want to say, hey, we have $500,000 for X study, because then the consultants are going to come back and say, well, it's going to cost $500,000. And so we need to say it's a lump sum for all of these different things. We can put out multiple RFPs and then see what each of the pieces are going to cost. And so that's why I feel comfortable in the way that this is being presented. So I will support this.
Thank you. Councilmember Peacock.
Yeah, getting to go last has its benefits, I guess. I don't have much to add except what everybody else has said already. I think I agree in this. I trust in this RFP process, and I really think that getting to see each one of these come before us as an action item with the full scope listed out is going to address a lot of Councilmember Lynn's concerns. I think these are money well spent to figure out how we are going to be able to save money and what some of our needs and shortfalls are, and maybe be able to address some of our areas of weakness. So fully supportive of it as well, and look forward to seeing those items.
This is an opportunity for members of the public to make comments regarding this item. Do we have anyone signed up? And since it was pulled from consent, would anyone like to? Mr. Munson, come on down.
Ward 6. So I definitely would like to support the public safety study. This is something I've talked about a number of times. So I've read a number of public safety studies that have been completed throughout the country. And the thing that I learned from those is that there's some efficiencies that can be made. When we look at Ward 5 is a big bullseye for just response time. Sometimes response times can be really delayed out in Ward 5. And so one of the efficiencies that might come from a study is that we put a new fire department out there, but also have an EMS facility underneath the same roof, and also maybe a Norman East police station. That might come out of a study. So other things that can come from the study is peak accident times. Those are things that come from studies, and that's, then you can determine what resources do you need, when do you need them the most, so that you can appropriately staff for peak accident time. Accidents take a ton of resources. Especially if it's a fatality. I mean, you could literally have a road shut down for hours and hours, and that could eat up 6-8 officers depending on the location of the accident. So Denton, Texas did a study just on their police department, and I would encourage everyone to go out and read that study. It is extremely detailed, and it doesn't just cover staffing levels. So my recommendation is to move forward with this study. I think efficiencies can happen from it, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding this item? Seeing none, any final comments from council regarding this item? Also seeing none, the motion on the floor is to adopt the resolution. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been passes by a vote of 6-1. Voting against, Councilmember Lynn.
Thank you. Now on to miscellaneous comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address City Council. Due to Open Meetings Act regulations, council is not able to participate in discussion during miscellaneous comments. Remarks should be directed to council as a whole and limited to 3 minutes or less. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed up?
Mr. Munson.
And Dan Munson, Ward 6. So I think first and foremost, I just want to say thanks to all of the public service employees, the City of Norman employees. I appreciate what you guys do throughout the year. I know you guys have some really tough days, and I know that there are a lot of people that are never seen in public that work really hard for the city, and so I would just like to say thanks to those people that we don't even know about that are doing a really good job for us. I know a lot of these roles here within public safety, a lot of people could be making a lot more money in the private sector, and so I appreciate your heart for service to our community, so thanks for that. What I wanted to talk about was tourism. So I think our city does a pretty good job with the amount of tourism dollars that we have. And what I think, though, is we don't have enough dollars. I don't think we're putting enough dollars towards Visit Norman to bring people to Norman. So if you look, so I've traveled all throughout the country, and if you look just regionally, people are from other cities are advertising to pull Normanites to their locations. Let me give you a couple examples. Lake of the Ozarks, Branson, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Dallas, Texas, Kansas City. So there's a number of cities just regionally that are advertising in Oklahoma to get us to go to their locations. What I'd encourage you to do is to look at how many times you've heard an advertisement or read an advertisement for the city of Norman in another city. I've traveled for 30 years pretty extensively. I've never seen an advertisement for the city of Norman. So maybe I'm just looking in the wrong spots. That could be. So I'm coming to you and I say, okay, well, I think we need to spend more money in Visit Norman, and how do we do that? I think a possible way to raise a little bit of revenue is through rental car fees. So the last 4 locations I've traveled to have been Orlando, Florida, Ashburn, San Antonio, and Phoenix, and they've had anywhere from a 37 to 50% tax and fees on their rental cars. I think if we just put in like maybe a 2 or a 3% fee on our rental cars, I think we could raise money and increase the revenue for Visit Norman. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Munson. You always bring creative ideas.